Ford and General Motors are still outselling Jeep in the full-size SUV segment, and we're going to try to find out why that is in today's video. I'll include a link to the Doug Smith and Spanish Forks website in the description down below. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a 3-liter turbo inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 16 around town, 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 420 horsepower and 468 pound-feet of torque. I do think the powertrain is a detriment to the Wagoneer just based on the fact that people aren't sure if it's going to be reliable or not. If this was proven to be reliable, wouldn't be a problem at all. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. We've got this nice metallic gray. You can see the hood's raised there, and we've got the Wagoneer logo too. And I actually think the headlight design and the grille design on the Wagoneer looks really sharp. It's all nice and painted. This also has fog lights and parking sensors. And altogether, for a full-size SUV, I think, again, it actually looks really good. 275 by 55 by 20 is the tire and wheel setup on this one. The wheels are completely blacked out with this package. You've got these nice blacked out fender flares. You got the Wagoneer badge on the side. Blacked out mirror caps with blacked out window trim, and we've got fixed running boards. Now, I will say the back end, being very rectangular, does look a little bit funky, but overall, I think the side profile looks pretty cool. Now, this leads us to the key fob where we've got our lock and unlock function, remote start. We got the lowering for the air suspension. That's to open up the hatch, and then the Wagoneer logo on the back. 12-volt in the rear on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you've got the closing there for the hatch. The seats are manual with a fold-down function. This is the Tahoe-sized version. They do make a longer version that's suburban-sized. Now, I think the taillights on this also look cool. We've got the Wagoneer badge there on the back. Now, the side profile of the back end looks kind of funky, but the rear 3/4 or just the dead-on rear, I think looks normal, actually. Let's now pop inside. We have a sunshade here for the rear passengers. You've got nice soft touch trim all over the door panel, Alpine sound system, and look at these seats. Nicely perforated all down the center. There's also plenty of legroom here in the second row. Got a little storage pocket. We have our own climate zone in the back. We also have heated seats and a bunch of charging ports with a full outlet. Not only is the pass-through to the third row really easy to use, the third row has plenty of space. Also have some USB ports back here, and I get ventilation. And headroom throughout the passenger cabin is, I mean, not enormous, but it's good. Let's now pop up front. Nice trim all over the front door panel. Blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. You also have your power folding mirror function and memory seats above that. 1543 is the payload capacity. And then nice trim here on the front seat, perforated all down the center. Power adjustments on the side with lumbar support. Light controls there, and then you'll notice the steering wheel is power adjustable. Start it up. Wagoneer logo front and center with nice soft touch trim around the steering wheel. This comes equipped with adaptive cruise control, radio controls in the back of the steering wheel, gear limiter function, and then controls for the center stack on the left-hand side. Full digital gauge cluster here in the center, which you can customize in terms of kind of how it looks, and then also the information that is displayed in the cluster. There is a heads-up display. It's probably not going to pop up on camera very well, but we also have some nice trim across the dash. Backup camera in reverse. We also have a 360 camera system with this one as well. As for the rest of the infotainment system, you got some shortcut buttons there for the heated and cooled seats, and overall response time with the screen is actually pretty good, as you can see once it's warmed up. You notice the analog controls at the bottom. We also have analog controls here for the climate, dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats too. Got some USB ports here, 12 volts, and then a wireless phone charging pad. Shortcut buttons for certain features like your auto stop starts, and then also a parking assist and parking sensor, tow haul too. This has height adjustable suspension, dial shifter there for the 8-speed, and then you've got your drive mode select with the other little toggle. Got some cup holders underneath there, and then giant center console. It does have a little top window as well for more storage. So here's our window sticker for this Wagoneer Series 2 Carbide. Total MSRP is $76,680. Let's take this out and sum things up. Get ready. So what I'll say right off the bat, if you guys want me to do a comparison, I could probably do all three at one point eventually. It takes some time, but I could probably do Wagoneer versus Tahoe versus Expedition. I could for sure do a two-way comparison, like, you know, Wagoneer versus Tahoe or Wagoneer versus Expedition. Let me know if you guys want to see that. But right off the bat, this is way more manageable than what you have in the new Tahoe's not horrible, but still a lot of screen, and then the new Expedition's like just across the dash, too much screen. So this feels a lot more normal. And that's one of the things that I think is very appealing about the Wagoneer, is they haven't gone crazy techie quite yet. I'm wondering if Jeep is going to follow in GM and Ford's footsteps. I hope they don't. Now, something that's a big benefit of this is Ford doesn't offer air suspension, and GM does, but you typically only see it on the higher end packages. Like the only vehicle that I have reviewed with GM that has air suspension so far in the Tahoe lineup would be like a High Country. So it seems like this you can get the air suspension at a slightly lower price point. Now, the suspension is smooth, the powertrain's smooth. This is very underrated in terms of how it drives. Like, again, everyone's going Expedition, everyone's going Tahoe, but have you driven one of these? Like, you don't, the thing, I think people kind of forget that, like, you can kind of go into dealerships and drive cars for free. They don't charge you like a test drive fee. At least they shouldn't, right? And so it always surprises me when people go and buy a car and they haven't even tried out the competitor. Because if you just go and drive one of these, what you'll see is it's comfortable. It's pretty darn comfortable with the suspension, and the powertrain's very smooth, and the seats are comfortable, and it's well insulated. Like it's a quiet cabin. Like over the train tracks there, very compliant. You know, you hear it going through the chassis, and this is still body on frame, but that's the nice thing is this body and frame independent suspension, so it goes through the suspension, the chassis, rather than going into the cab part of things, which is nice. It's a big plus. The one thing that I will say is GM's air suspension is a little bit more comfortable than this air suspension system, but this is really good. And it feels kind of more tank-like in a way. And I will say, stuff like the doors, when you close the doors in this, it sounds way more solid than when you close the doors in the Tahoe and Expedition. So, I mean, why aren't these selling? Well, first off, I think it's just, this is a new vehicle, and full-size SUV buyers just seem to stick, they're either Ford people or they're Chevy people. They're not willing to jump ship, so I think that's part of it. I think the bigger part of it, though, is the unknown reliability. Like with Ford, it's the Expedition's using the 3.5 EcoBoost they've had for over a decade, so people know what goes wrong with that powertrain, how reliable it is. And then General Motors, even though they're having tons of issues with their V8s, people kind of know the problems. They kind of know what's going on with that powertrain. And so it's like, it's not unforeseen. But with this new Hurricane, it's not really known at this point, right? We don't have 200,000-mile Hurricanes driving around. Will it even make it that far, right? And so that question, right, I think that kind of concerns people, and why people are not willing to quite jump over to one of these yet. So I think it's actually a great vehicle, and I said this in the past, I think this is better than the Ford and than the Chevy, especially now that they've gone like all in on techiness. Not a huge fan, but I mean, when you look at the equipment you get, 360 camera, air suspension, heated and cooled seats, and this is before, I mean, we all know that with Dodge Jeep dealers, you can always wheel and deal a little bit. So like, it's even before the dealership gives a little bit of discount. So like, when you look at what this car offers and the money that you can get this for, it's a much better value than Ford and General Motors by like a long shot. And so I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not at least going and looking at one of these. Like, if you go and look at it and decide that you don't like it, like, fine, fair enough. But I think that many of you would go and drive one of these and be like, man, I think this actually drives better than the Ford or better than the Tahoe. And oh wow, I can get it for less money for more features, and maybe I should give this one a little bit of a chance. So, let me know your thoughts.